Now, marriage is not only about duties and rights, it is also about values. And so there are 7 very important pillars of your marriage, which you have to make sure are always in the air. You got to juggle these 7 basically, and don't make none of them fall. Because any one of these that gets compromised, then it will affect your relationship in the marriage. And so it is one of those things which, as a young person getting married, that you've got to slowly try to master these 7 things. And number 1 is to speak the truth. There's a big deal about our religion about speaking the truth. If you start your marriage by lying to each other, you will not have a marriage for very long. Because lying, it really is a serious thing. As Allah tells us in the Quran, وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ, never cover up the truth with falsehood. And so we are taught in our faith that even if you have to speak the truth against yourself, that we are asked to speak the truth. Because some of the scholars even go to the extent to say that when you lie, it is like similar to committing shirk. And the way they reasoned it is that Allah places a reality before you. For example, if Allah places a cup before you and then you say there is no cup, then you're challenging a reality that Allah has placed. You put your hand behind your back and said, I don't have anything under it, and then there's something there. So they said that is a kind of a shirk, is a kind of challenging Allah. And so truthfulness is very important. Number 2 is trust. You got to trust your spouse. You got to begin by trusting your spouse. And unless you have some absolutely clear evidence to otherwise think about them, then you must trust the word of your spouse. People out there, the shaitan will try to cast a lot of aspersions on your relationship, because shaitan doesn't like to see good relationships. And so you'll get people coming to your house, hey, I saw your wife over there with so. I saw your husband in a restaurant eating with a woman. And you jump to conclusion. You've got to be able to trust your spouse and have them explain the incident, and try your best to believe them unless you have proof to the otherwise. Or else your marriage is going to end up in a very bad place in which everything they do will be interpreted with distrust, and it breaks down the whole marriage in a very quick way. Number 3 is respect. And I try to make us understand respect. First of all, when you respect somebody, it means you're actually going to listen to them. Not when they start talking, you're interrupting them. You're actually going to listen to their words. You're going to consider their opinion and value it what they're giving you. A lot of spouses don't do that to each other. There's a great deal of disrespect that takes place. So you've got to understand that my spouse is my equal before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're equal creation, and so we are equal in our relationship. And so I've got to treat that person just as my equal, value their opinion, listen to them. Respect also means that sometimes I will step out of the limelight and allow my spouse to shine. I've mentioned this before. You will see sometimes someone will compliment your wife on doing such, she did something, whatever it is. She brought a good food to the program. And then someone is praising her. So she's in the limelight and the husband can't stand it. And so he chooses that moment to say something derogatory about her. Oh, but you don't know what she does, so. And then, it's like you can't allow her to just share a moment in the spotlight. Instead of saying, yes, my wife is so amazing, and allow her to share. That's respect. Respect means protecting the dignity of the person. Don't allowing them to have to go out of their way to earn that respect. And respect is something that is earned. You can't demand respect. You can't turn to your spouse and say, you must respect me. So often children, they look at their parents, the parents are demanding respect from them. No, you have to, the way you're dealing with your child or the way you're dealing with your spouse, and if you show them respect, usually you get respect back. But if you treat people with disrespect, guess what's going to happen? You can shout all day long. They're going to disrespect you back. And a lot of time, the young people, when they come to the masjids and so on, sometimes the older people disrespect them. And so they won't get back any respect from the youth. And so it's a two-way street. When you begin to show respect, respect comes back to you. The people who you respect, and that's how the Prophet ﷺ used to deal with a little boy. Bird died. Prophet sit down with him and literally, help them to walk through that grief with respect. Forgiveness, part of respect is if one of us mess up, oh my gosh, just forgive each other. Don't look for do that moment to say, I told you if you had listened to me, you this wouldn't have happened. It's being kind, it's being forgiving to each other. That's part of being respectful to one another. And so this is another value that is really important. The fourth value in terms of these seven is religion. Both parties should try very hard to become a better and a better believer. And so it doesn't happen by magic. One of the things that you have to do is that you have to proactively, whether it's once a week, you and your wife sitting down and listen to a YouTube video and analyze it, or you're reading an Islamic book, or you come to a class, but you're doing something where you're hearing the words of Allah and it's moving you into a direction towards faith. Because if you don't hear things about the faith and you don't have something that will inspire you and to get you to become stronger in your faith, then you're going to be listening to things otherwise that will take you away from it. And so you want to be able in your relationships as husband and wife, you want to be able to say, my kids, if I don't have them now, but when I do have them, I want them to be proud of their mother and their father in the way we are worshiping our Lord and we're trying our best. That I want them to feel proud of dad and mom, not ashamed of them by how they behave. And so religion is something that you have to juggle, and each family has to work out a system of how they're going to become better and better. One should not judge the other one. If one spouse is of a higher level of Islam than the other, then that is not the moment to preach upon them and chastise them. Everybody has a journey of how they are transgressing. It comes from their childhood, however they came to religion. And so everyone has a journey that is different. Some people come from good religious homes, so they're stronger in religion. Other people didn't come from that journey. And so you've got to respect people's journey and the time it may take for them to get to the level of one or the other. So rather than being preachy and sarcastic, it is important to just collectively try to make effort and help each other to become better. Finance, you've got to be able to, one of the conditions that the Prophet ﷺ made, that you have to make sure you have a financial ability before you get married. That those, he said, Ya Nisa, Ya Ma'ashara Shabab, Man Istata al-Ba'a falyatazawwaj. That whoever is able to, who can afford to get married, then you should, then you can get married. But if you don't have the financial wherewithal, and this doesn't mean you have to become a millionaire before you get married. We see people who, they have to have their own house, they have to have this, they have to have the manager job. As long as you have enough money to look after yourself and one other person, then you have reached the financial obligation. You have mastered that. Don't wait until you have to become a millionaire before you get married. It's, oh, I don't have my finances together. It is just enough for you to be able to maintain a person. But you have to keep juggling that throughout the marriage, because when that fails, that's one of the top 4 things that breaks up marriage. Trust, respect, finance, and the last one that breaks up marriage is communication. So communication means that whenever any little thing bothers you, you don't allow it to fester. You don't say, oh, I just pass it by. You have to be able to grab each other and say, hey, man, what's going on? And we're going to come to when you have your meetings, that you have to talk about the things that are bothering you about each other, and you have to communicate them quickly and find solutions to them. For if you wait for them, they don't go away. They become bigger and bigger and bigger, like a sore. And so, because that yields into other things, like last week he shouted at me. I didn't tell him anything. He doesn't even know that he made a mistake shouting at you or insulting you, because you didn't communicate that. Then the other week he insults you again, and he's not aware of what he's doing because you are not communicating. You are deciding, I will just let it be, rather than have a conversation and says, hey, this is bothering me. I don't like to be treated this way. Communication is really key. And the last of the 7 is, of course, love. And love have many dimensions. Love, if you ask me what is love, you will get many different definitions. So love is mostly practiced than spoken about. And you will see someone in love, you will notice qualities about them. Number one, when someone is loved, they'll be soft with their spouse. They'll be doing nice romantic things with them. They'll put them as their priority. They will tend to open up and be vulnerable with their spouse, not have a pretense or to hold things back or to have secrets that they're scared and terrified to tell their husband. Love means being able to open out and be feel safe to discuss anything that is going on in your life. Love means making an attempt to protect each other, to comfort each other, to forgive each other. Love means you get up every day and you say, how do I make my spouse happy? How do I put a smile on their face? I personally do that myself. Every day I wake up after I make dua, I said, what can I do today to put a smile on the face of my spouse? And I put it in my schedule, because that's part of what love is, because it helps you to think of your spouse, and not about yourself and your day and the challenges. That my spouse is always in the front of me, that all of what I'm doing is to make my spouse life wonderful, and in doing that, my life becomes wonderful because my spouse will reciprocate. And so love is having that when you see that one of one of you is down, that the other one decides to take it up. One of you may be cooking every day, but one day they wake up and they don't feel like it. The other person can detect that and says, I got it. Don't worry, you take a day off. And being able to be there for each other and to show lots of appreciation. Love is being able to care for each other. So love has many dimensions, and it is letting your other person know how much they mean to you, how special they are to you, and that you wish you could do more for them in your life. And so these 7 things in your marriage, you always have to have them either on your wall or over your bed or whatever it is, that you could remind yourself that I have to keep these 7 things really, really protected and working in my marriage. Because any one of those fall short, it will affect all the others. Because if you disrespect, you can't love. If your money is in problem, it will start to affect all the other relationships that you have. So you've got to be able to, if you love someone, but their religion is collapsing around them and they stop praying and they stop this, their love will go. So may Allah help us to do that. And so these are the 7 things.